Good evening, all the participants. This is day five, and welcome for the today's session, which will be on how to revive the stall projects, and also our today's speaker, Mr. Amit Kedia, will be highlighting the RBI guidelines on finance and restructuring. So, I'll just give a brief introduction of Amit ji. Uh, Mr. Amit Kedia is a practicing chartered accountant based out of Jaipur. Through his more than 12 year of career, he has become more recognized for his contribution and expertise as a knowledgeable professional, advisor, and consultant in the field of financial consultancy. Uh, Under RERA, valuation, project consulting, corporate finance, merger and acquisition, and corporate restructuring advisory, and a tax advisory. With a core expertise in finance, specifically fund raising across various products, he has been serving entrepreneurs and various corporate. He had been convener in various programs of Chartered Institute of Accountants of India, tax consultant and co-convener in committee of the tax consultant. He had been speaking on various platforms for various topics in relation to profession, knowledge sharing, and having in-depth knowledge about his subject, delivering lectures at various platforms for CREDAI, advising project across Rajasthan, West Bengal, overviewing the RERA matters. He's been associated with, he is having in-depth knowledge on the recently, the last year government of India has launched the Swami Fund of category 2 AIF. He is having the in-depth knowledge on that part. Apart from this, he has been associated with many association, be it Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association, CII, FICCI, members of the ICI, RERA study group, task force formed by the Committee on Economic, Commercial Laws and Economic Advisory, chairman at RERA Committee Tax Consult Association. Talking about his qualification, he is a Bachelor of Commerce from Rajasthan, chartered account is a chartered accountant, a certificate course on valuation organized by ICICI, certificate course on forensic accounting, workshop on hedge funds and private equity by ICICI. So we are, sir, we welcome you for the today's session, and we please take it forward from here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Credai MCHI and whole team and all the members for inviting me to discuss and share knowledge among ourselves. Moving forward, not least Virag Shaji, who is the founder, uh, managing director of Connect Easy. With all your permissions, I would like to move forward with our today's topic in regards to financing of the real estate sector as a whole. Today, we would be taking two basic core mode of finance, apart from other mode of finance like FDI or private equity. Two major, like we would be discussing today for another, I suppose, almost 2 hours, would be alternative investment fund as an opportunity, and the government of India through RBI announced restructuring plan specifically for the real estate sector. Members, moving forward, I just wanted to make a background like where we are sitting today as on 10th of December 2020, and where this whole episode financing crunching happened back 2013-14, and major hit which came because of the demonetization in 2016, then GST, and then bursting of NBFC. And it had broken, rather, I would going to say, the financial structure of whole of the real estate sector. After breaking of and bursting of the NBFC, what are the alternatives which are available for us as a developer? That is what we need to understand very in depth. banking are going through a liquidity crunch. There was supposed to be an alternative investment fund, which was the policies which was issued and introduced in back 2013, where more than almost 35 specific real estate funds were working in our country. They are still working, but they have deployed their fund. And because they have, excuse me, they have deployed their fund, they also are going through a liquidity crunch. But after NBFC, alternative investment fund is very good and very advantageous opportunity where developers can look forward. In the meantime, government of India had came with a fund introduced, and which had a shoe option, green shoe option of 12,500 crores. So in totality, a fund of 25,000 crores, that is 12,500, the primarily one. And moving forward, if the green shoe option have been in formulated by the authority, by the government of India, then additional 2,500 crores. So it is an AIF, alternative investment fund, category 2 alternative investment fund, where the government of India is the biggest investor. So we would be concluding this whole presentation, the first part of our presentation. Then we would going to take some question answers in regard to alternative investment fund, and then we would be moving forward with the restructuring announced by RBI. So briefly, we see, as we have discussed, they have introduced this fund back in September 2014. It's a category 2 alternative investment fund and is professionally being managed by SBI Capital Venture, who are the investment manager of this fund. This fund had come at a time where the real estate sector, more than 1,600 projects of a value of more than 4 lakh crores, and with 4.58 lakhs housing unit which were going into under stress and which got locked. Just only reason the promoter did not had a bad thought that he does not need to complete the project. The allottees were committed to take the possession, but the circumstances, as discussed, starting back from 2016, got created in such a manner that the liquidity in the market got wiped off, and the government then came with this fund to rescue these 4.58 lakh housing units. Apart from that, government of India, SBI, LIC, many other sovereign pension funds are investors in this fund. So it is the government of India is the biggest shareholder. Rest it have call in upon other investors also. So this is a simple cycle in which this fund works. The pool of money comes by infusion of 10,000 crores of government of India. Then SBI LIC had introduced sovereign fund combined together, managed by SBI Capital. This fund gets a mobility. The beauty of this fund is that this fund is available for those projects also which are going through NCLT and with the project which have been declared as NPA. In our country, we know that no bank would going to uh, take a lead, or we're not going to entertain, rather we say, to those projects which are going through uh, the NPA category. So this is the beauty of the fund, that these NPA category projects could also be taken care and would be entertained by this fund. This is a bit important slide where we need to understand where what are the eligibilities of a project to apply for this fund. So prima facie, it need to be a RERA registered project. Second of all, it need to be a stalled or because of non-funding availability. Third of all, it should be affordable and a mid-income group segment project. The project net worth need to be positive. Uh, Fifthly, the project should be closely completed. It should not be like the new project can apply with. The project should and need to be near to completion, and at least there's a threshold that at least 30% of the project is completed in terms of construction and development. So taking all these five parameters, all these six parameters, we need to understand and see that they have been taken care and they are being fulfilled. We understand that what is affordable and a mid-income housing project. All the mid-income housing project registered under RERA are eligible for the benefit. The criteria which have been put in place is they need to be 200 square meter in terms of carpet area, so it should not exceed that. And as we are talking in Mumbai metropolitan region, the MMR region, the cost of single unit should not exceed 2 crore rupees. We would be understanding what this 2 crore rupees means with in our future later slides. And the 2 crores rupees uh, should be the net of, that means no taxes, nothing, the amenities, parking, brokerages, registration, stamp charges, all need to be excluded while we are calculating this 2 crores. If we take an example of this, for example, a flat is of worth say 1.75 crores, having a carpet area of less than 200 square meter. Now 20 lakhs is for say other amenities, 10 lakhs is for parking, and say 5 lakhs is for brokerage, and another 10 or 2 odd lakhs is for stamp charges. In totality, the cost of the flat is exceeding 2 crore rupees. But mind it, as the basic value was 1.75 crores, that project having these type of units would be eligible, very much eligible for putting their application to the fund house. One thing which we had seen in the eligibility criteria was the net worth positive project. So it's a very simple terminology to understand the net worth positive, which goes that whatever are to be receivable, that is the sold inventory and the unsold inventory clubbed together, reduced by the value for which we have to incur our cost, the net value need to be positive. So there is no other methodology, the complicated one, which like the calculation or the formulas or like the professionals tell. It's a most simplest in the most simplest manner they had defined and told how to calculate the net worth positive. So advantage of this fund was that it would going to mobilize uh, from time to time. All the stuck project would going to get a funding. As we know, there are more than 300 allied industries which are dependent on the real estate sector, and rupee 1 coming in real estate multiplies by 22 times. So all the sectors like cement, iron, steel, all of them would going to get an advantage of what have been put in place by this fund by Government of India. There are some FAQs uh, performed FAQs. We just go through that FAQs quickly for some better clarity, and then we would going to take our questions. So, as being discussed, who are the investors and who are the fund managers? We are very much like clear, and the fund size and about the manager we have discussed this thing previously. Then, who the cases which have not got orders from NCLT for liquidation. All these projects would be eligible for the last mile funding. So, if the case is in NCLT eligible, if there is an order which have been gone through this uh, NCLT proceeding, then in those cases it would not be eligible. It's a very interesting question that will the fund invest in cases where the cases are pending before High Court and Supreme Court? So, no, the fund would not going to come and put its money in disputed cases. NCLT, NPA are absolutely a different forte. They are showcasing the financial stress of the project. They are not showcasing the disputes of the project. So any disputed projects in High Court or Supreme Court, the fund is not fund would not be coming and putting its money. Eligibility criteria we had discussed in detail. As we know, carpet area as defined in clause K of section 2, carpet area means the net usable floor area of an apartment, excluding the area covered by external wall, area under service shaft, exclusive balcony, veranda area, and exclusive open terrace area, but includes the area covered by internal partition walls of the apartment. As developers, it would be wrong at my part that I would be explaining you the carpet area. If any specific question come in our question and answer session, I would love to explain it. But to best of my understanding, every one of us understand what is the carpet area. And the second good question is would it would be the fund would be covering the villa project? Yes, definitely. The fund would be covering the villa projects also. So any villa projects which is having a carpet area of less than 200 square meter and have a price cap of 2 crores as discussed previously, those villa projects would also be available uh, for this fund. Very interesting question that which cities would be most taken care of under the fund of stalled housing project across country or going to be a region wise allocation of the fund. As we have discussed previously, the biggest investor of this fund is Government of India, and the money of Government of India is equally distributed and equally available for each and every citizen. And being developers spread across the country, it is available for developers and projects across the country which are eligible as per the eligibility criteria as discussed previously. The only cap which is there is in respect of a state, there is a 400 crore rupees cap, and for a developer in totality, there would be an 800 crores cap. That is what the fund is having. Apart from that, there is no cap. The beauty of the fund is that the fund is reaching to the smallest city of our country. So, to that extent, that if uh, a project is in a metropolitan city or in a small town, then also like the fund is not differentiating, and this is the reason the fund have gained so popularity. Reason for with previously all the alternative funds which were available was like working very specifically in certain regions, not even certain part of the country, but very specific, to the extent some specific state or some specific maybe the capital cities or like that. But this is not at all the criteria with the Swami Fund. Uh, this is a very important thing which we need to understand is that what portion of stalled real estate housing projects fall under the affordable and mid-income size. As per industry estimate, 90% of the stalled projects are under affordable and mid-income segment. So basically, if the project carpet area which need to be seen and taken care is at least 90% should fall under the uh, mid-income segment, affordable segment. If there is less of the area for say luxury part, carpet part of the project is 85%, or say the commercial part is say 20%, then in those cases the 90% threshold would not be covered, and in those cases then the eligibility criteria would not be met up. So net at least 90% of the project need to be in mid income and affordable segment. What is the expected timeline for execution of project once the fund is received? The objective of spatial window is to complete the construction of the stalled project at the earliest. According to the funding would be structured to meet the construction sale schedule for the relevant project. So it is not that the fund is coming for a short term just to uh, funded. It would be there, it would be completing the project, and once the project gets completed, then also it would be moving out. Till that time, the fund would be working as a partner to partner to the developer. What if the developer or previous funding agency, bank and NBFC wants to serve their own interest over the interest of the home buyer? Will the fund have an authority to fix the issue? The capital provided by the fund would be used only for completion of stalled project. This should benefit all the stakeholders in the project, and it cannot be used to repay the existing debt on the project. This is a bit uh, uh, controversy, you can say, or this is like the first reading of charge which is having some issues. But as on date, the fund is taking care of that, and they are able to close deal in seeding the first charges and to formulate the deal, the transaction with the existing lender. So as told by me previously, the SBI Capital Venture is the uh, professional run company which is taking care and managing this fund. And in respect of the processing fees, there is no processing fees. There is some due diligence cost which is there while which comes after the first internal due diligence of the fund house gets completed and the fund house is okay to move forward, then at that time a due diligence is need to be carried on by the third party, and that is a cost which come on board. Apart from that, there is no cost. So thank you for your patience listening for this alternative investment fund. Harishi, I would like to take any questions on alternative investment fund, and then would like to move forward with the next topic of ours.
So participants, regarding this alternate investment fund, Swami fund, if you have any question, you please raise your hand. So after this question answer, we will move to second session. So, sir, there are already two questions in chat box. One is, what is the procedure to avail this funding, please?
So to avail this funding, the procedure is very simple. Uh, in the SBI Capital Venture website, there is an Excel sheet which is being put in place. We just need to fill that Excel sheet and send it to the fund house. Once the fund house go through it, the fund house would going to contact and would going to guide you more how the data need to be put in place more. So the first due diligence start then and there only.
And what about any sales criteria? Something about sales?
Sorry, I didn't got the question.
They have written,
Sales
what about sales? Any criteria mentioned about sales? Any minimum sales required or?
Yeah, as discussed, like there is no any minimum criteria of sales. The basic criteria which is required is the project need to be completed at least 30% in terms and in respect of the development uh, and the construction. That is a threshold which need to be uh, taken care. Apart from that, if we understand the number of bookings, the number of sales is very specific. It should not be that it is a very niche that we were trying the project to sell from last few years, but there is no booking. There should be at least some substantial reasoning for the sale, having or not having. So that is a very subjective thing which needed to be made as needed to be for which an assessment needed to be done on case to case basis. But there should be some substantial reasoning for sales or not sales. The basic reason why this fund is coming is not to like support the sales. The fund is coming because the sales had happened, but because of the economic circumstances, the project got stalled. Because of the financial crunches, the project got stalled. Yeah.
Okay. And there's one more. Why it is called as category 2 fund?
So there are three categories in alternative investment fund. As been told, like it's a pool of money of investors, and it is governed by the regulations of SEBI. So under the regulation of SEBI, there are three categories of alternative investment fund. I just brief you in very short and manner that category one would be more for the startups, category two would be more for the mature market, and category three is for the secondary markets. So these are the basic reason of category one, two, three. So this fund has been formulated and incorporated as in category two fund.
Then next, at what percentage one can get fund? What is the rate of
So,
interest?
so the rate of interest is like 12%. Previously, it was 15% when a year back the fund got introduced. But as on date, it is 12%. And effectively, it is roughly 11.3%.
Any criteria regarding takeover of existing loan?
So, no, as I have told that absolutely no, the fund is coming to complete the project. The fund is not coming to repay the existing lender. So, no such arrangements could be done with this fund.
Okay. And from my side also, one question: how many projects till now have been funded or got the sanction? What is the data as of now?
As of now, like there are, it's a week's old report. Like the project number of projects which have been sanctioned is 136, and the project which had got final approval is 30. Sorry, the final sanction have been received. The project which have been sanctioned is 136, and the project which have got the final approval is 36. The total investment which have been deployed in this 136 projects is near about 13,200 crore rupees, and the total number of home buyers which are being targeted with this deployment is almost 87,000 crore, 87,000 home buyers.
That's a big. So only
That's a big, and this all have been done in a year.
in a year's time.
So, and as we know, there was like almost 3 months lockdown in the country, and a complete lockdown of 2 months. So, on an average, deployment of almost 1,500 crore rupees per month.
So, sir, that's it. Any schedule of repayment?
So, as discussed previously, the fund is coming for completing the project. So, the fund would be working in hand to hand with the promoters to complete the project. All the repayments will be done after the constructions get completed. So, if we take an example, uh, for example, there is a tune of 100 crores which is required to complete the project. The fund house pays 10 crores to uh, start the project. Apart from that, uh, once the project gets started, there would be some due dates also which would be falling. So the allottees would be coming and paying the money. And for example, a tune of 5 crores come from the allottee. So in total, there are 15 crore rupees which is available to deploy for the fund for the promoter in the project. Now, further there is no money which is coming. Then SBI, the fund house pays more money and the project gets completed. What happened at the end? We had received say 100 crores from the fund house. 5 crores have been received from the allottees. So the fund house just need to pay 95 crore rupees only. 5 crores has been utilized from the allottees. So net 100 crores got utilized. The project got completed. Now the allottees start paying money. Now, whatever money would be paid by the allottees, that money from the sold inventory and from the unsold inventory, that whole money would be deployed to pay this 95 crore rupees of the fund house plus the interest which have been incurred on this utilization of 95. Once this interest and principal got repaid, then if any existing lender are there, they would be repaid, and further on, then any surplus left would be cherished by the promoters.
And this will be working as a last in and first out. It will be coming
Last in,
last
first
and
out. Absolutely, absolutely. With this example, they are coming last, but they would be going out firstly.
and what about partnership and proprietorship concern is okay?
No, there is a very specific mandate that this fund is having, and that mandate is like they would be issuing NCD, the non-convertible debentures. And in our law of land, only the private limited companies can issue non-convertible debentures. So any partnership or proprietorship organization is not eligible to issue NCDs. Reason for which, if any of the developer organization is a partnership or a proprietorship firm, after they get an in principle, they have to uh, put their in principle approval, that the developer need to put in their in principle approval that in case the fund house go through the with the mandate that they would be funding the specific project, then at a later stage, once they get an approval, they need to get this proprietorship or a partnership organization converted to a private limited company. So net proprietorship partnership firm would not be eligible uh, for the final uh, disburse, disbursement, primarily initially with an caveat that if the fund get approved at any given point of time, they would be they would be converting with this caption. If they want to apply, definitely they can apply.
Okay. What if on the single land there is a two developer constructing the project? Can only one developer get funding under Swami?
So basically, the fund is not coming for developers. The fund is coming for the project. So what I understand is the project would be one. There would be two developers who are working in for that project, or maybe say there would be a joint arrangement or a joint development uh, understanding between those two developers. So as the fund would be coming to the project, whoever is the eligible developer, there may be a SPV or something like that. For a better answering, I need some more clarity. But net, I can tell that the fund is coming for the project, not for the developers.
Okay, sir. We are done with the question and answer for this session. Sir, you can start the second session.
You have taken questions from the Q&A and chat box both, sir.
Yeah, yeah. There is one hand raised by Pankaj Jhunjhunwala. I'll just allow. Pankaj ji, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Amit ji, I have one question. That is this fund available to West Bengal or is the same blockade there up till now?
As of now, the same block is there because there is WB Hira there, and as of now, like only RERA projects are like eligible for this.
But why the government of India is not taking any effort that it should come to West Bengal also? I mean, this is really a cumbersome time, very troublesome time for developer in West Bengal. They are being deprived of such a big fund, which is available in the country.
I can understand, Pankaj ji, the pain with which West Bengal is going through. But on records, like would not be able to comment on this.
Okay, thank you, Amit ji.
Arunji, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, Amit ji. Yeah,
Namaste,
I just
Arunji.
wanted to ask you, see, most of the lenders does not give that NOC for the second charge. Is there is any mechanism that Swami can give and the new existing lender can come as in a pari passu charge? Is that possibility in this fund?
So as of now, like what is happening is there was very stringentness at a very early stage with the existing lender of giving the NOC. But now what is happening is a discussion has been going through, and there is formulation of deals which is happening. The structuring, you can say, between the existing lender and the Swami fund, where they are one-to-one discussing and trying to bridge this gap. So things are going on. This is a big reason of slowing of the convertibility of deals, but it has been like addressed very stringently now. So on case-to-case basis, the existing lender can, along with the developer, can have a one-to-one meeting with the management of Swami, and a solution has been brought in by all these three parties.
Because what's happening, although SBI is funding, SBI is there and LIC there, but even they are not giving a first charge to Swami.
And to the best of my knowledge, things are not like that. Things have started mobilizing, to the best of my knowledge. Case specific, I would not like to comment as of now on records, but things are happening.
But the existing lender can get
you may like check with once again with the any of the team member like with whom like you are in discussion. definitely like some solution could be put in the table.
The existing lender is getting any repayment on the sales?
Yes, that is what I'm telling. The deals are being made on case to case specific. So one to one, we need to like discuss with it. There is a formula which gets created, which is being created in terms of structuring. So the structuring is being like being discussed and it's getting executed.
Okay, okay. Thanks a lot, Amit.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
There is a last question we'll take. If a builder has declared under IBC, then the project considered in SBI cap?
So what I understand declared is like if I can understand correctly that there is an order which have been passed. So if an order has been passed, that means the entity have been liquidated. And if the entity have been liquidated, then no, uh, the project would not be considered. And if the liquidity proceedings have started, then also it would not be. So from the day the order get passed, we cannot go to SBI cap.
Okay. The final question, how do we get an insight of which projects are being funded by AIF under Swami?
We would not going to get this information. Like it's a very confidential
Sensitive.
information to that extent. Like I myself cannot like discuss to my other clients that what funding have been done to my other clients. To that extent, like all the consultants are maintaining a confidentiality along with the fund house, and that is the best thing. Reason for which what would going to happen is if these informations come out in the public domain, then there would be a queue of people who would be coming up to ask for the monies. Apart from that, the credibility of the developer get somewhere tanked. Reason for which that they had came and had taken a last mile funding and many other reasons having set forth. Uh, it's a confidential information, and you would not going to get a data for that at any plan.
Thank you, sir. We are good to go for the second session now.
Thank you very much. So, government, as we know, in November, December, the government had came with the alternative fund, and as it came, I remember that on 29th of January, I was physically there at Mumbai, and a big high cry started across the world about the COVID, and everything started closing. And as we know, India was also not left behind. In March, India also got closed for the lockdown because of the COVID. Excuse me. In this meantime, there was the sector was already going through pain. Apart from the sector of real estate, other 25 sectors which was identified by the government of India, which were going through the pain, got also created. The government also created their vision on those sectors also. So in total, there were 26 sectors, including real estate sector, for which this restructuring policy of government of India came. Friends, to start with, I would just tell all the members that this restructuring is a one-time affair. We need to see and look this restructuring in the framework that we are not deferring it We are just buying some time for ourselves. We need to do a fair assessment of ourselves, that once we opt this, and once this restructuring is opted, and when it's been sanctioned by the authority, then we does not call ourselves back to this restructuring, because that replication of taking ourselves back to this restructuring would be more painful activity than the activity which through which we are going and which we are thinking as of now. So we have to be very determined, we have to be very clear that if we are moving forward with this one time restructuring, then it should be executed in a very fair manner, because we would be not be getting other chance after this restructuring uh, to formulate our things. We just see the key high points. So the restructuring may involve the modification of term of advances, securitization, which would generally include, among others, the alternative of payment method, payable amount, the amount of investment, rate of interest, rollover of credit facility, sanction of additional credit facility, release of additional fund for an amount in default. To the basic reason could be covered and seen in these or all lines. So it may happen that at the time of restructuring, we are not looking for any interest subvention, but we are seeing that our EMIs, our payment liabilities get extended. Maybe like if we have leftover of 2 years, that could extend to like 3 years or 4 years as per our suitability. So, as told by me in my opening remark, that this restructuring should be taken very seriously. They should not be, it should be formulated and present in a very flexible and in and comfortable manner. It should not be that for the sake of restructuring, we say that okay, just give us an alternative of say 1 year only, or say 2 years only, when we know that our fund flow would be not be easing for another 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So we have to be very practical when we are understanding what exactly need to be done and how we need to get ourselves restructured. The economic fallout of on account of COVID pandemic had led to significant financial stress for the borrowers across the board. As we know, builders are facing a liquidity issue, and the stress and the long-term visibility of the firms have been somewhere shaken because of this cash flow generation. The news article uh, are coming that because of the reduction in stamp duty in Maharashtra, because of the measures taken by the government, the sales figure have skyrocketed. Hopefully, with this, the liquidity, the cash flow generation is back. But then also, we need to understand and we need to formulate our policy in a very calculative manner. The real estate developer are seeking one-time restructuring of the stress developed accounts, since it would offer a better way to renegotiate the timeline of repayment than all the legal complications that arise from force measures. So main second largest employee, as we know, after agriculture, we all real estate sector have undoubtedly welcome about this so we just see the timelines which are there. On 6th August 2020, RBI have announced the loan restructuring window for the corporates and personal borrowing following bankers and industry demands to provide the breather to stressed real estate developer and individual borrowers in the housing segment. The restructuring would be allowed as per the prudential framework of resolution of stress assets uh, 2019, dated 7 2019 prudential framework. COVID-19 resolution framework announced with the aid not just to one-time restructuring, but allows banks and borrowers to come up with a resolution to come out with this pandemic together. The loan resolution plan, which allows the payment moratorium of up to 2 years. The Reserve Bank of India Prudential Framework provides a principle-based resolution framework for addressing borrower defaulter under the normal scenario. Any resolution plan implemented under the guidance of Prudential Framework, which involves granting of any concern of account of financial deficiency of the borrower, change in ownership which allows the asset classification to retain or upgrade to standard subject to the prescribed conditions. So as we know, it's allow a one-time restructuring without classification them as NPA as and enable the lenders to implement a resolution plans without a change in ownership and personal loan. Hence, lender can now restructuring debt without changing the owners of the stress company, which was the case under the existing. The lender includes shall ensure that resolution under the facility is only to the borrower having stress in account because of COVID-19. So that is what is to be understood and to be known very clearly and in a very significant manner that the stress have been added on. Undoubtedly, the real estate sector was going through a stress, but the stress had added because of the COVID-19 pandemic. All the board resolution policy need to be put in and evaluated, and the object should be the resolution of the stress in personal loan. The personal loan refer to the loan given to the individual, consumer credit, education loan, loan given to certain immovable assets, loan given to investment in financial assets like share, debentures, etc. Now we understand the eligibility criteria. The part shall be applicable to resolution of professional personal loan sanctioned to individual borrowers by the lending institution. However, credit facility provided by the lending institution to the other personal staff shall not be eligible for resolution under the framework. And we need, this is a very important thing which we need to understand, is that there should not be any default for more than 30 days which the lending institution as on March 1st, 2020. So if any, in a very net or summarized manner, if any account is NPA as on 1st March 2020, then in that case, it would not be eligible. It should be a regular account as on 1st March 2020. If it is a regular account, then only it would be eligible to move forward with this. The eligible borrower's account should continue to be classified as standard till the date of invocation of the resolution under the framework. This is a very important point that need to be noted, that the date of invocation shall be the date on which both the borrowers and lenders institution have agreed to proceed with the resolution plan under the framework. The resolution under the framework may be invoked not later than December 31st, 2020. So we are just left with effectively 20 days. If any of us want to invoke this, then we have to connect to our concerned bank and need to take things forward from there. It must be implemented within 90 days from the date of invocation. However, the lending institution may do it like earlier. The resolution plan may entirely include rescheduling of payment, conversion of any interest accrued or to be accrued into another credit facility, granting of moratorium based on the assessment of income stream of the borrower, subject to maximum of 2 years. That is what we need to understand and to take care of. Correspondingly, the overall tenure of the loan may also get modified. The moratorium period is granted shall come into force immediately upon implementation of the resolution plan. So that is an important thing which we need to understand and need to note it down, that it would be implemented from immediately from this it is got implemented. The resolution plan shall be deemed to be implemented only if all the following conditions are met. So we need to understand beforehand, like just not putting up of our application would going to serve our purpose. It would be in toto, which we need to put in place before we get it implementation. All the related documents, including execution of necessary agreements between the lending institution and the borrower, collaterals provided, if any, completed by the lender, should be taken care of. The charges of term condition, change in the term conditions and the loan get duly reflected in the books of the lending institution. The borrower is not in default with the lending institution as per the revised term. Note that any resolution plan implemented in breach of the above timeline shall be faulty, governed by the prudential framework or relevant instructions as applicable to the specific criteria of lending institution where prudential framework is not applicable. Resolution plan for COVID-19 related stress finance, as we understand, the Reserve Bank has accordingly set up a expert committee with Shri KV Kamant as a chairperson. The committee submitted its recommendation to the Reserve Bank on September 4, 2020, which have been broadly accepted by the bank. Hence, Reserve Bank of India released as on 7th September 2020, and as discussed, these 26 sectors, including the real estate sectors, to leverage to and to create liquidity in their debt survival got and came into place. Leading the mandatory concern is the total outstanding liability and the adjusted tangible net worth, total debt and EBITDA, current ratio, debt service coverage ratio, and average debt service coverage ratio. These are the major ratios which are need to be taken care and to be seen with. Other mandatory features are that there should be a intercreditor agreement. It is further clarified that signing of ICAI is a mandatory requirement of all the lending institutions in all cases involving multiple lender institutions where resolution plan is invoked, and the requirement of additional provisions if the ICAI is not signed within 30 days of invocation does not mandatory in nature of ICAI. Compliance of regulatory requirement shall be assessed for all the lending institutions as a part of a review. The resolution plan in respect of accounts with the aggregate exposure of lending institution at the time of invocation of the resolution process is rupees 100 crores and above shall require an independent credit evaluation by any one rating agency authorized by Reserve Bank of India under the Prudential Framework. This is an additional requirement which would be required for those resolution procedures which are more than 100 crores. The resolution plan shall further provide that in accounting invocation involving consortium of multiple bank agreement post implementation of plan, all receipts of the borrowers, all repayments by the borrowers to the lending institution, as well as all the additional disbursements, if any, to the borrowers by the lending institution as part of the resolution plan, shall be routed through an escrow account maintained with one of the lending institutions. So this is another uh, important thing, that every funding would be routed and all that thing would be conducted through the escrow. So this was all which I needed to put for the reconstruction uh, uh, issued by RBI. I would love to answer any questions in regard to this.
So all the participants, we are again open for a Q&A session regarding to this RBI restructuring policy. Please put up your chat or raise your hand if you would like to have any question. I think it was too technical for them also.
So, in a very simple terminology, if any accounts need to be restructured, you have to think it very immediately. You have to take a practical call that if I'm going for a restructuring, now I would not going to default.
Okay.
If those are the timelines which we can meet out, then restructuring is a right procedure. And if we are thinking that we need to put our papers for restructuring, then it should be done very immediately. Reason for which there are only 20 days which are being left. So an application after that would not be entertained.
Also, sir, I have just heard that whatever ratios been prescribed by the RBI, most of the developers won't be able to met that ratios. So, is that true? And
If I go for with the humors, definitely it's true, but practically it is not like that.
Okay.
The thing is, I say is other way around. If for any specific, not for the specific this restructuring thing, for anything, if somebody is not getting eligible, that does not mean that the eligibility criteria is wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, in a summary manner, I can tell like that.
And they were also saying that whatever Kamit committee has suggested, everything is not adopted by RBI. Is that?
It is true, but the things which have been adopted, we are just discussing on that part. Basically.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the resolution plan, and when it's appointed, what is the period of resolution plan?
So as been told, like we have to put in place our resolution plan to our existing lender. In a very simple terminology, resolution plan, if I like to tell you in a very simple terminology, like we have taken a loan from our existing lender. Now, because of the financial crunch, we tell that our existing lender, like, see, this was a term sheet. These were the terms on which I have taken a loan from you. But taking care of the existing circumstances of my business, of the economy, I would like to change these term sheets. I would like to restructure it. Restructure in any manner. Maybe like our EMIs was like say 10 lakh rupees per month. We want that this 10 lakhs is a bigger figure, taking and understanding the current market circumstances. We approach our current existing lender and tell that kindly restructure it and make it 5 lakh rupees. 5 lakhs would be in our capabilities, that we would be able to, our liquidity is going such that we would be able to pay 5 lakhs instead of 10 lakhs. That could be adopted. This is what is restructuring. That is to be put in place to our existing lender. They would going to review our application, and that application would then come into a final different term sheet after all the reviews.
Can a overdraft account be restructured?
Definitely, why not?
Are restructuring actually happening under Kamath committee, because many banks have not notified lower down?
Things are happening. Applications are being put in place and things are going on.
And somebody is asking, restructuring and morat facility both are different.
Sorry?
Restructuring and moratorium
Haji,
facility
Haji.
both are different, or
Moratorium is a part of restructuring.
okay?
So there are various methodologies, like restructuring could be of the moratorium period, restructuring could be of the interest. So this is a part.
Okay. And you would like to ask question directly, so please raise your hand so we can allow you to talk. So that's it, sir. No further questions. Thank you so much for your valuable insight on such a means you had such a depth knowledge of both the thing. We are fortunate to have you today, and looking forward for your further interaction and more bonding, sir. Thank you so much
Anytime.
for your time.
Anytime, always available for CREDAI MCHI and for all its members. And I once again thank the management committee of CREDAI MCHI, Virag ji, and all the members for patiently listening and giving me this opportunity to interact with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good night, sir.
Thank you. Good night.